Sup flappers. So it has happened. Finally, a movement has been started. But before you get excited, let me just kind of go over what's going on here, okay? And if you don't know what I mean, it's okay. In this video, I will go over what is happening on Twitter regarding the Genshin Impact drama, what my views on the subject matter is, as I have myself lived in China for a large portion of my life and can give insight to the deeper rooted issues among the Chinese people when it comes to racial representation or discrimination. Where this whole thing is likely headed, and finally the most important question, will anything change? So subscribe to this channel if you want updated news regarding Genshin Impact, as well as character guides, memes, rants, you name it. This channel has got it. I upload videos daily, so we get to see each other every single day. Anyways, let's go over what is happening on Twitter. So recently on Twitter, there is a community of people who has risen up with issues regarding Genshin Impact and issues regarding racial misrepresentation and suggestive underage romance, with these issues at core. Two hashtags spearhead this entire uprising, being hashtag boycott Genshin Impact and hashtag do better mihoyo. So with these two main issues that I talked about earlier, there's a whole slew of other things that they're talking about. So we'll go over things as we get to them, okay? So this is going to be a long one. Strap yourselves in. Now, apparently people found that mihoyo based several dances and hilichurl rituals and movements off of natives and their traditions or behaviorisms. This has sparked outrage among a portion of the community, enough to dig deeper into the issue, where it was also pointed out that the two darker skinned units have been portrayed as either sly or are severely underwhelming in the game. It's also seen as microaggression and minority oppression. Now, I won't go too deep into the whole origins of all the claims, but will link some articles and sources in the description and my pinned comment. Finally, we have people jumping in as well, mentioning how predatory the Gatcha system and the lack of response from mihoyo regarding account security is as well. Now, that's a lot of things to cover, so let's go over them one by one. Now, here is the footage on screen that was released some time ago, where it shows some behind the scenes of Genshin's creative process and the developer's vision. At 1 minute 30 seconds into the video, you can see that indigenous people are used as reference for the hilichurl movements. Now, I know it's easy for people to get upset about this, and I am in no position to silence your voices or opinions, but I do urge you all to understand that China is not like the rest of the world. And what do I mean by that, and how does that even remotely relate to the current discussion? Let me go over that. As someone who has lived in China for half of my life, I can assure you that there is no ill intent behind the reference. In fact, it's nothing more but an artistic reference and viewpoint. Do know that people in China are not educated on the matter of racism or racial oppression. It's just not something that is prioritized in their education or curriculum. While in the past decade, things have gotten a lot better and information has become more easily accessible in China, the vast majority of the population are not actively seeking to self-educate themselves, as society does not promote or encourage it. There's no need for it. Cancel culture doesn't exist in China. With this lack of self-education, we end up in the situation of people being completely oblivious to things such as social misrepresentation or racial oppression and microaggression. I guarantee you, if you went onto the streets of China and talk about these issues to people, very few would even have a bare bone understanding of the subject, with much more completely oblivious to it or just straight up misinformed people. Remember, China is currently a second world country that is still in development, so their focus is going to be different from that of a first world country. It's easy to stand from the top looking down and talking about the things other people are doing wrong, but please stop for a second to look at this from the other side. Now, you may think I am defending mihoyo here, and believe me, I am not. I have repeatedly criticized mihoyo on many business practices and decisions they've made to be selfish and greedy, but for this issue, Twitter is really going too hard over something that is just fantasy antagonizing. I have personally met artists in China, filmmakers, writers during my time when I did some work over there, and even traditional stage actors, all of which exert the same worry regarding China's entertainment industry and the rules that are applied to it, which heavily restricts what can be shown to the public. Now, this can be an entirely different video, so I won't talk about it here, but just know that every piece of story, dialogue, and character design has to be approved by the government prior to it being approved for development. Now, if you guys want to see a video where I talk about this stuff, leave a like, comment. If this video gets to 1,000 likes, I'll make the video. I'll go over everything I know on the subject matter. So for this video, let's just continue moving on. Now, what is my point here when I talk about this? My point is that this is not done intentionally. There is likely no ill will behind this representation. Does that make it okay? No, of course not. But we should not be getting this upset over an honest mistake. In fact, there is very limited artistic reference the Chinese artists can actually use to create bodies of work. Something as simple as a pendant design that looks similar to something that is against policies will be shut down. It's excruciatingly difficult to create modern, engaging entertainment in China, even more so for big companies like mihoyo, whose games are marketed to such a wide age demographic. Using the movements of indigenous people as reference for the hilichurls, whom are monsters that players slay and loot from, does look extremely bad to Western eyes, but this is an artistic reference for a video game. There are already enough restrictions within China to create entertainment. We don't need to give mihoyo a hard time over an honest mistake. If they can come out and announce that they hear us, they did not do it with ill intentions, and then apologize to those they may have offended, I do think we can move on from this without an issue. Now, regarding the issue of two-factor authentication and the predatory gacha system, unfortunately to say, but I think these things were just thrown in to add more weight to the issues. To be honest, these belong in completely different categories of issues mihoyo has to deal with, and likely will just be brushed under the rug by mihoyo if they even plan to release an official statement on this subject matter. I have said this many times over, mihoyo is here to make money. Adding two-factor authentication and changing rates will not only not make them money, but actually lose them money or potential earnings. Forget about the rate changing anytime soon, but even with just the two-factor authentication, depending on whether mihoyo wants to make in-house developments or half-ass it and use a pre-existing option, it's going to take time, manpower, and money for a function that they will not charge us for, which will likely not generate more money for them, but functions more as a preventative measure to make sure players don't bleed away from the game. Now, what does that mean? This means that unless players start to bleed from the game faster than newer players move in, there is really no monetary incentive for mihoyo to put in the two-factor authentication system, and that's just that. Personally, I think it's unlikely for mihoyo to even budge at all when it comes to this whole uprising. They likely have their hands full with game development and don't even have a social media team stationed here in NA. Ultimately, some people will quit the game and some will join. Sales will still skyrocket with patch 1.5, and things will go over with 90% of the community not even knowing it happened. People remember, the amount of players on social media consuming Genshin content outside of just playing the game is a small portion. Yes, you sitting on the toilet, laying in bed, or on the transit listening to this. We are the minorities of the Genshin Impact community. The mass majority of players for games treat it just as pastimes. They don't care about who is the best, they don't care about who is coming out next, and they surely don't care about what the movements of the enemy NPCs are based off in the game. They are playing to enjoy the game and nothing more. So in the end, nothing will change. I do hope to see mihoyo issue an apology though. It's a step in the right direction for a company who has garnered great international success, and it would be short-sighted of them to show us how little they care about us and our voices. But that's just my wishful thinking in the end. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Thank you all for watching, and remember to subscribe for more videos. I post daily Genshin content and host a Discord server for the community. Come join and say hi to meet new people playing in different regions. The links are all in the description. So until tomorrow's video, stay safe and peace.